Recording. Welcome everyone to the June Trinity County Fire Safe Council meeting. I will start the introductions. My name is Skylar Fisher, TCRCD and the Trinity County Fire Safe Council Coordinator.
Kelly Sheen, District Manager, Trinity County Resource Conservation District.
Carol Fall, Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department.
Philip Seamy, Office of Emergency Services, Trinity County.
Do our Zoom participants want to introduce themselves? We want to start with Bethany.
Yeah, Bethany Llewellyn, Forest Health Program Manager, Trinity County RCD.
I'm Jerry Cousins, Trinity County Collaborative. It's a busy day for me, so I'm just here till 2 o'clock.
Okay, sounds good. Regina, do you want to go next?
Hi, everybody. Gina Moon here, Willow Creek Fire Safe Council.
And then Nancy. Okay, we can. Oh.
Yeah, I'm here, guys. Nancy Curran, I'm the Fuels Forester here at Mad River.
Okay, and then that leaves you, Chris.
Chris Cole, the District Conservationist, NRCS, Weaverville.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you everyone for being here today. So first is, does anyone want to add anything or change the current agenda layout? Hearing no requests to change or add, we can just hop right into the discussions. So the only discussion item today is the update for the Trinity County Fire Safe Council MOU. So based on the previous discussions, there were amendments made to the MOU. We have some copies here, and then I can share screen to call out where the changes were made as well. Can everyone on Zoom see the shared screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So primarily the changes had to do with the principal contacts. So I can start over there first. And so we added language to specify that the principal contacts are only during, like, even if there was a change in name for the contacts, that doesn't mean that we need to revise the MOU or make it so that agency is no longer principal contact of the Fire Safe Council. So that's in a little paragraph underneath the principal contact list that specifies that, and it makes it so that the contacts' names, emails, phone numbers, and mailing address may be subject to change, but are just reflecting the time that the MOU was adopted. And do not, and also we wanted to clarify that those listed in the principal contacts are not the only ones who can attend these meetings. We really wanted to bring it home that we encourage all members of the public to attend these meetings, and they are also able to vote as long as they attended a meeting previously within the last 6 months. Additional to those changes were the addition of the programs that the Fire Safe Council manages. And so we wanted to keep language loose for that so that it didn't like constrain us or we would have to do another MOU update really quick. So that's in the in section E towards the end. So we have 6, 7, and 8. Pat had a really good comment last meeting, which is when the original MOU was created and updated, there wasn't, well, at least when it was originally created, and then it wasn't added when it was updated, there was no mention of the CWPP. So we really wanted to include that since that's really important to the mission of the Fire Safe Council. So we added that we update and monitor the CWPP, and that's on a 5-year cycle. And we added that there is the facilitation and enrollment of the local area advisors and the neighborhood ambassadors. And then there was some discussion on incorporating the Firewise communities Initially, there was some conversation on making them voting members, but there was concern that given that some communities are larger or some communities have community members that are more, that attend more often, because all community members are able to vote as long as they attended within the last 6 months. We just included the Firewise communities within this section and showed that we are looking to maintain and encourage development of new Firewise communities. So other than those changes, we revised typos to Nancy and Randy's names. So those are now golden with the R's instead of the C's. But those are the main developments of the MOU. And so this was circulated, I believe, to everyone on call. And we either got emails saying it looks good to go or no email response. So with that, I want to ask if anybody has any feedback or additional changes they'd like to make to the MOU.
I just have a question, Skylar. I assume you took this to the Fire Chiefs Council. I'm curious about the rotating, having a fire chief or vice chief as a co-chair, since we haven't had that many of the departments regularly represented. Is that a commitment that they seemed like they were up for?
The MOU has not been brought to the fire chiefs, so that's a good recommendation to see if there is capacity there.
But
I think it's a great idea. I know all those people take on a lot already.
well, so there is buy-in for sure from the Fire Chiefs Association that they have a member as either the chair or co-chair. I mean, they've always kind of assumed that role.
That sounds great. Yeah, I was just curious about the yearly rotation. But I think that would be positive to bring some new people in.
So Carol, do you think that it would benefit from going to the Fire Chiefs Association, or do you think there's enough buy-in right now?
You know, that might be a question for Todd, but I don't know that you need to go back to the Chiefs Association. I think they're gonna assume that they're, you know, being represented.
Okay. Are there any other comments on the document? I got your comment on section E in fixing coordinated.
Actually, it's a typo.
Okay. Well, if there are no other comments, then I think based on Carol's recommendation, it seems like the Fire Chiefs Association would be in support of the rotation on a yearly basis. And then we can move forward with.
I mean, that doesn't mean that you have to change the person every year. It just means that they have to tell you who it is every year. That's what I was assuming.
Yeah.
You know, so it might be Todd, you know, again and again, but he kind of lets the chiefs know.
Oh, what's going on? I see.
If someone else wants to volunteer, like I did, you know, a year, then another chief can do that. But mostly, I mean, the fire chiefs themselves tend to keep the same chairman year after year.
Yeah.
Okay, so this seems like a voting item. So would somebody like to put a motion forward to vote?
Sure, I'll move that we approve the MOU as presented with one minor typo correction.
Okay, sounds good.
A second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, wait, Randy, raise your hand.
Now we're gonna thumbs, okay.
Oh, oh, is that, that in
I
favor?
was raising my hand to say I concur,
Oh.
yes, from me. So sorry about that.
Oh, no, thank you. Okay, are there any opposed? Let's see this. Okay, so with no opposed and any abstentions? Okay, so with no opposition and no abstentions, that is a pass for the memorandum of understanding. Awesome.
Now you gotta collect signatures?
Yes, so I will be making the revisions and then I will be going around and bugging people for signatures. So thank you everyone for the collaboration on this. Okay, so that moves us on to grants. I'm gonna stop the share screen. Cool. So in terms of grants, the Fire Safe Council, RCD submitted a grant application for the 2023 CAL FIRE Defensible Space Grant last week. We circulated a letter of support from the Fire Safe Council, which was reviewed by the council and then signed by the vice chair, Philip. So we had a letter of support from Fire Safe Council, from the Fire Chiefs Association, and that project is going to be in partnership with the Weaverville Volunteer Fire Department and the Watershed Center. We're very excited about that. The grant opportunity was released shortly before our last meeting, so we were still developing the proposal and our submission, but what it ended up being is called the SR 299 Community Defensible Space Grant, and it targets homes adjacent to the 299 in defensible space implementation work and also outreach. The grant itself hopes to target vulnerable communities. So the way that we built the proposal is the implementation work would be done by TCRCD Forest Health, the Watershed Center, or the Weaverville Volunteer Fire Department for disabled or elderly or otherwise vulnerable individuals, whereas those who are low income and have not been able to implement defensible space work could be provided with a stipend to get that work completed. So we're looking to integrate our existing wildland fire assessment program into that. So we would go out and do assessments, identify if defensible space work is needed. The work would be completed either by the homeowner or by our technicians, and then we would follow up afterwards to make sure that the work is complete. And we're hoping to use this as an opportunity to build more partnerships with communities, specifically different community organizations, and to implement better outreach to include members of the community that haven't really been involved in our programming thus far. So we're very excited about that grant, and we will keep everyone posted.
Do you have a map of where, of what's covered?
Yes, I can bring that to the next meeting. We ended up narrowing it down a little bit since the presentation at the Fire Chiefs Association to be within 3 miles of SR 299.
Okay, so so Lewiston would not be included anymore, but would you include like Douglas City, Deer Lick Springs and stuff?
There were a few properties that were like within the Lewiston, Douglas City
miles.
umbrella, yeah.
Because I was measuring distances the other day and I'm trying to figure out what the 299 corridor is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just geographically.
Mhm.
So, okay, yeah, a map would be, you know, well, it would depend when you, if you get the grant.
Right.
At some point, I'd like to see where it covers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything for grants that they'd like to bring up?
I will say, at the Fire Chiefs Association meeting, Rick Lutweiler said that he had been communicating with Susie Hawkins about the Title III funding. And Susie told him there would be approximately over $200,000 available.
2 years.
Because
worth of-
it's 2 years. And that Fire Chiefs Association asked to have it like some sort of tickler where there would, from now on be a timely notice in the paper. There used to be a pretty regular schedule for when the notice came out, and I guess that depends whether or not there's future funding for it, but for now, there would be 200,000 available, and if they get more money in the future, they're asking for a more like regular schedule, so fire departments can know whether or not they're going to be able to have money like Weaverville does for fuel reduction and so forth. So that would be the update on the Title III.
Did you want to say something, Randy?
Yeah, I was hoping to update people on the SNC concept proposal that the Watershed Center prepared for this recent deadline that the, acronym Sierra Nevada Conservancy put out. That was the, it's a wildfire recovery and resiliency grant program that applies to the area above Trinity Lake. And so we asked for funding to start implementing the service work out in the Bowerman project area. So we coordinated with the 2 Forest Service units, the NRA and the Trinity River Management Unit. And we built in some implementation work for the RCD as well within the Covington Mill neighborhood and the Forest Service parcels that are being included in that neighborhood as part of the planning project. And so it's a concept proposal at this point. We haven't really done the letters of support and all those details, but I did want to brief the Fire Safe Council, because if we get invited to do a full proposal, we would love support from the Fire Safe Council.
So Randy, during all the Bowerman tours, Tara said that they had funding for this already. She said they did not have funding for Trinity camps, but they did have funding for the Bowerman Ridge project under the Inflation Reduction, whatever it is, one of the big federal bills. So is this in addition to that funding, or did they not get that funding, or what's the status?
No, this is match. So this will help the priority landscape funding or the wildlife crisis strategy funding go further. So if Bowerman doesn't need as much, that frees things up for other project implementation. I think the forests or our thought was SNC provided funding to help bring the planning to fruition. And so it was a good opportunity to leverage those funds and the activities with the federal funding, with state dollars.
So could you switch it to Trinity camps if you don't need it for Bowerman?
No, that probably wouldn't be something that we could do with the grant proposal. I mean,
it just seems kind of redundant, like one project supposedly is already funded and the project that's not funded, anyway, I'm just confused.
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure of the deadline for the signing of the document with Trinity Camps, and the CE has to be signed before the end of September. So that was another important piece in the calculation of which project to submit at this time.
So the scoping document for Trinity Camps went out 1 week later than Bowerman, so I think they're kind of on the same time frame.
Well, thank you for that information. I did not realize that that was the timing for Trinity Camps. So we're gonna meet with the 2 units if we get invited to submit a full proposal. And so I will certainly bring up the idea and we can certainly check in with SNC and see if there's some ability to change the scope.
Okay, all right. Both of them are great projects. It's just that I understood, and I know things change, but from Tara and Sarah's conversations, it sounded like Bowerman was funded and Trinity Camps was not. So anyway,
Well, and one of the things in SNC, if there's funding going into something and you can extend the work or match the work or make sure it all gets done, then that's a better proposal than something you don't have funding for. So it would be an easy switch for the forests. I mean, I won't speak for the forests, but I did speak with both Sarah and I'm sorry, Ben Sundahl. And Sarah didn't bring up the concern that we were asking for money for Bowerman and not Trinity Camps.
okay.
So, yeah, but we can certainly continue to raise the issue if that's the hope of the Fire Safe Council or the volunteer fire department up there. So,
Oh, yeah, we'd love to see both of them funded. Thank you. Anyway, yeah, if you can just explore that, that would be great, just because, like I said, things change, but I'd like to see both of them implemented, because both of them are going to have the documents kind of at the same time, as far as I understand. So anyway, just something to
great.
think about.
Thank you for that information.
Okay, Bethany, did you have an update?
Yeah, we also applied through that concept proposal opening with the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. So it's same deal as Randy was saying, where we didn't need any letters of support or anything for the concept proposal phase, but if we proceed to the next phase, we'll be coming to the council for support. And that is for the Trinity Roadside Partnership Project in partnership with SPI that we applied for last year and wasn't funded, and we've made some revisions based on their feedback. So it's a lot of the trailhead roads in the North Lake, the sections that are on SPI land for kind of roadside brushwork, complementary to Bowerman, Pettyjohn, a number of other Forest Service projects up there. So the bits of the checkerboard that are on SPI land. And yeah, again, that concept proposal is in, but if we go to the full proposal phase, we'll bring it back to the council. But if anyone has any questions about it now, I'm happy to address them.
Okay, it doesn't look like there are any questions. Is there any other grant updates at this time?
Carol, do you want to talk about the Fire Foundation?
Oh, yeah, so Trinity Center is applying for a California Fire Foundation grant. Right now, the priority would be the area uphill from the Knolls, because that was not included in the FEMA McConnell project, and that's on SPI ground. And then Bethany and I are just trying to sort out who actually owns the property around the Verizon Tower, Norwegian Repeater, and Velocity Tower. N-Plan says it's Stephen Hill. I guess ArcGIS says it's SBI. So once we figure out who owns it, we may include that in our application to do fuel reduction around those two areas.
When's it due?
June 30th.
Oh, coming up. That's
Nothing
right.
nothing like a deadline.
Deadlines come fast. Okay, great. If there are no other grant updates, we can go into the Fire Safe Council Coordinator updates. A lot of Fire Safe Council Coordinator time was dedicated to the Defensible Space Grant application. Now that that is submitted, a lot of focus has been towards the ongoing county hazard mitigation plan update. We are going to begin a string of community meetings next Monday in Hayfork. then Tuesday in Trinity Center, and then Thursday in Mad River. All meetings are at 6 p.m. Really looking forward to it. We're at the County Board of Supervisors on Tuesday to promote the community events and to inform the board of this project and where it's at. We're hoping that this will be an opportunity to educate the community on what exactly this project is, what a hazard mitigation plan is, what the purpose of the plan is, and why we are pushing so hard to get engagement. Part of that is the community survey, which we brought to the last Fire Safe Council meeting, which is to get input on the perception of hazards. So, and I wanted to say thank you to Carol for helping promote the event in Trinity Center. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, although I put the flyer up at the post office and the guy was watching me, put the flyer up at the post office and he's like, what is this? I mean, I had to stand there for like 5 minutes and explain what it is. So the flyers, I don't know that they're gonna get a lot of people, but we've been trying to talk it up, so we'll see. I don't know. people are like, it's like gobbledygook to them, unfortunately.
And I have to say, and just from being, up in the area right now, and everybody's heads are in the 4th of July weekend space.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
and
they're thinking about.
And there's a big town hall on Wednesday about lake levels. So you're competing with people, okay, I gotta go to one meeting this week. Am I gonna go complain about lake levels to my supervisor? Or am I gonna go talk about something I have no idea what it is about? So I'm not sure you're gonna get anybody. But hopefully it'll fill out the survey. I put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah.
Are there paper copies of the survey?
Yeah, so we have paper copies of the survey at the RCD office. I can also print some out if you want to bring some back to Trinity Center with you.
I was gonna say, because I'm pretty sure that the water.
We'll
meeting
hand them
will-
out at the town hall. You get a lot of.
Yeah, hand them out there if people don't show up the day before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's smart. Okay, I can print some out for you guys. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
And you're all gonna go tsunamis?
But
Volcanoes?
I remember when the hazard mitigation plan was done the first time when Donna Rupp did it. The same question came up, but Cal OES said, you got to take into account not only disasters that occur on your ground in your county, but disasters that occur in adjacent counties that result in refugees or evacuees coming to you. So the tsunami one was kind of written up to deal with what if there were a really bad tsunami over in Humboldt County and people are evacuating this way? How do you deal with that?
that's interesting.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense, because we always work so close with Humboldt, but we don't think about their disasters versus our disasters. What if we ever had to accompany them and help them with their disaster too? You need to understand.
Yeah, the problem is the survey is written like very
Right.
simplistic, like what hazards would affect you, they're thinking me.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what we really want in the plan, is to find out what it is that's affected the people of Trinity County,
Right.
but have that element in there to know that, we may be assisting adjacent county. Shasta County, there's not a lot between us and Shasta County that we're worried about other than wildfire. So,
Volcano.
yeah, keep that stays down around 1,000 foot level.
Okay, all right.
Anyway,
Okay, so those are the big things. The evacuation route project is ongoing with the GIS aspect, and then I believe the sheriff's office is still working on descriptions for the different zones. But that is the bulk of the work happening right now. So unless there are any questions, we can dive right into project updates. Good. Seeing no questions, based on the recommendation to agenda structure provided in the last meeting by Pat, we are now swapping up the agenda each meeting, which I think is a really good suggestion, so that Watershed Center and Willow Creek aren't always at the end of the list each time. So that being said, we will open with the Watershed Center for any project updates.
Well, it's been a great early season with this cooler weather. Thank goodness. We're very grateful. So, the fuels crews have been working diligently on the shared fire prevention project with the RCD. And we're very close to being done with most of the community areas that were funded. You know, of course, the funding is not going to do everything we would hope, but we had good progress along Deer Lick Springs Road and in the Hayfork Valley and along South Fork Road. We're waiting to work along St. John's Road because we also have another implementation project down that way that has limited operating periods, and they lift in mid-June. So that'll be I believe the one project area that will remain incomplete once the quarter is over. So that's just super exciting in my mind. And we're getting really good traction for chipping days in Hayfork. So we were able to do a lot of chipping in the Hayfork Valley. And we built thanks to the Resource Advisory Committee, we built a fire adapted community project through the RAC proposal process, and we're waiting for that to be executed, but we're hoping that will improve our outreach to some of the smaller neighborhoods. You know, we've been talking to Astrid Dobo at Post Mountain, maybe looking at some translations of some of the outreach material into Hmong. So yeah, we're trying to get creative to get more neighborhoods active. And we're starting work on the Six Rivers National Forest. Since Nancy's on the phone, I won't go into too much details. I'm sure she has some really good information. And we've been working on mastication at the Ewing Reservoir. There's a fuel break that was implemented out there a decade or more ago, and we're retreating that area. So it's a maintenance treatment, but we're also treating parts of the fuel break that were never implemented back in the day. So that's exciting. And some of the work really kind of leverages nicely with some trail building that's happening in around Ewing. So there's been some fuel reduction opportunities as part of the trail building. It's very likely that we're moving out of that project and going up to Lake Forest to work in a couple of plantations that the wildlife crews were able to lift LOPs early. And that's done as part of our collaboration with the RCD, masticating in some of those plantations up there. So I believe that's the current news, although it's looking like our forest health proposal that was awarded or, approved will be awarded by the end of July. So that's exciting that new project will be coming online. And I actually have a field trip with Trinity Timberlands and BBWA on the work that's going to happen on those private lands as part of the forest health proposal that was funded. So I think that's all the big news. So thank you for the opportunity to go first.
Thank you. If there are no questions for Randy, we can then go to Willow Creek Fire Safe Council.
Alrighty then, this is unusual. I like to hear everybody else first. And anyway, but we've definitely been staying busy. And I missed last month's meeting, and that was, so I still want to thank everyone for showing up at our Firewise event, May 20th. So that's past news. But some of the other things that we have done, we've had some members and our subcontractor, Jeffrey Churchill, he's here with me in the office today. We completed that WFAP, the Wildland Fire Assessment Program, which was great. It's encouraged the Willow Creek Volunteer Fire Department to maybe want to host one there, because that's going to be a lot of things coming up within our upcoming CWDG grant that we're pre-planning for, is a lot of homes to be assessed. So that's all Humboldt County, then plus I suppose there's some in Trinity. So that will be upcoming, but and then our storm recovery grant that we received from CAL FIRE, our coordinator Jeffrey has been working with that, and we're almost complete with that portion, getting homes identified, and we don't have exact numbers, but like 50 plus. And the work's been done, defensible space work, some roadside work. And after that is complete, we're also starting to do within a phase 4 contract. It's another CAL FIRE grant that is 10 model homes to do the same thing, do an assessment and then the defensible space work around it. So we've been plugging away. He's been at it all winter, got snowed out off of his home in Route 1 and just lived down here in Willow Creek and worked up a storm. So we're on a roll. Our 2 contractors have been busy doing a good job for us. And I'm really thankful to have this extra help. So there's the pre-planning, like we were talking for the CWDG, there's going to be a lot coming up. Like we've been told, probably won't see the monies no sooner than September, October, but there is some ideas and possibly a different little funding maybe to get some of the assessments done. And so we're excited about that. We're trying to build up our crew capacity. We've actually got a little team kind of planned out for maybe our admin side of it so that we could keep things up and running. With new grants that we may want to look for, some existing ones, some that we're kind of in the middle with, like our 435 road, we're excited about whenever that does happen, that RAT grant from there. So yeah, a lot of different, keeping that sorted out is interesting. One other thing I'd like to share on the, I heard Randy say for the South Fork Road, I know the crew's been up there, excited to see them coming along and getting that road taken care of. Another thing on the South Fork County Road is the Forest Service, Lower Trinity Ranger District has implemented a crew to thin some plantations because they had the NEPA was existing, and they're able to do the work there. But apparently the NEPA isn't approved yet for other projects. So everybody's waiting. But that I went up and checked on them yesterday, and it's going to help out complement all of our other projects that we have going on the South Fork. So those workers have been busy making piles, just thinning out the whole unit. They're all piled up and covered, ready to burn this winter, I guess. So that's within our jurisdiction. But Willow Creek in general, we've got Bigfoot Days coming up. We're going to be a part of that information. The parade, that's July 8th. It's a Saturday. And our very own Barb Darst and her husband, Dawn, have been very instrumental in our town. They're actually our grand marshals for the Willow Creek this year, based on a lot of things that they've done. It's not Fire Safe Council, it's them individually. But when they moved to this area after retiring, I was impressed when they put a fire hydrant right in their own yard, which has helped out their community and been used on 3 major fires down there. They are the grand marshals this year, so we're pretty excited. They've been trying to resign and get out. We're still using Barb. I mean, she's still with us, so she's probably never going away. But yeah, there's a lot of good things going on. I want to thank Jeff for his involvement as the subcontractor that we've had, and looking forward to keeping him possibly in with the coordinator positions for upcoming CWD proposal stuff too. So. Any questions, any thoughts, ideas, or? Yeah.
Thank you, Gina. Nice to meet everybody.
Hello.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Great. If there are no questions for Gina, we can hop over to Six Rivers.
Afternoon, guys. Okay, let's start with finally this week. Got the watershed guys back. That makes my life complete when I see them every year. They're working on what we're calling Mad Gap. There was a timber sale, a small sale less than 50 acres. It was part of the Kelsey Timber Sale and Fuel Brick project. It's right along the county road just south of Ruth. Good community project. They're doing lop and scat, sub-commercial lop and scat to prep for jackpot understory burning. Real happy to get the guys back. After they finish that, we'll hopefully, once the LOPs are lifted, we'll go back to Mad Ridge, treating the green part of Mad Ridge. Mostly is kind of between Highway 36 and the Ruth Dam above there in the Devil's Backbone area. So that'll be a fun job for those guys. We hope to get about 200 acres, 200 plus acres of maintenance mastication done there, and lop and scat. It will be a combination. An update on our August integrated resource service contract. We reviewed proposals last week. Most of the awards will be completed the end of this week. We do know that the hazard tree abatement projects, there was 4 of those for about 2,400 acres that got awarded to a local company here, right here in Southern Trinity County. And not only them, but they'll be subcontracting to other locals this side of the mountain. So that's going to be good for our little economy here, and keep the guys working for a couple of years. And let's see what else we got going. I think for now, that's all I'll talk about. I'll give you more updates on the contract. I did talk to the Southern Trinity Fire Safe Council this morning. They weren't able to meet the meeting this afternoon. We will have a representative for the hazard mitigation meeting next Thursday. I think their only comments, and we're getting a lot of calls here, is worrying about the county roads, especially between Ruth Lake and Henshaw Valley. There's no access, and how that's impacting fire response. During this last lightning event, everybody was having to drive around the long way to access any concerns around Henshaw Valley or on Mad River Ridge. So hopefully the county will be getting some money and we can start getting some kind of road repairs going. I am seeing some along the lake, which is good to see. So hopefully they'll continue around the lake and over toward Henshaw Valley. In the report.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Nancy?
Nancy, do you guys have the air curtain burner again or not yet?
Yeah, we have it here, and we do. We're just waiting on an archaeological survey, and we want to put it up on Mad Ridge, where we've had our hot shot crew falling a lot of snags. Actually, on Mad Ridge, on Mad River Rock Road, the portion between Highway 30, between Highway 36 and Mad River Rock, it really illustrates all the invasion of oak or invasion of conifers in the oak. We've had a huge die-off of Doug fir. They've probably about 60 years ago, they invaded the ridgeline oaks, and now they're all dying off where the oak woodland exists. So we're talking a tremendous firewood fuel loading, and so we hope to take all the slash burn in the air curtain burner, right there at our air curtain burner site, just off 36, and then gather up all the firewood and deck it up for the public at our Mad River firewood site. But yeah, we had a lot of die off of Doug fir and the oak woodlands. So we hope to get started on that as conditions allow.
Great, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions for Nancy?
Nancy, this is Deborah from North Coast. So
Oh,
can I anticipate some lop and scatter jackpot burning in the future for Mad Ridge Fuel Break?
we'll see. We don't have much staffing. We've got a lot of lopscat going. We'll see. We do have a 70-acre jackpot understory burn. It needs a little revision. That's going to get worked on this summer. Hopefully we'll get approved. It will be tricky because of its adjacency to the clinic and the schools. That's why we like the air curtain burner for the bulk of our projects in that area.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool deal to have that air curtain incinerator and use it on your projects.
Well, thanks to our CAL FIRE partners, the Humboldt Delta unit, and I mean they could take it anytime. They'll have projects as well, but we have a good relationship, and quite honestly, it's really helped us in that area above the Van Dusen where the school and the clinic is, and that's the only place you really kind of make us toe the line there. So we're trying to please.
Yeah, well, I know that the air curtain incinerator and the cooperation between Forest Service, CAL FIRE, the district, and others that use them has been really good and beneficial for the Humboldt, Del Norte, and Trinity County. So long may it wave and move forward. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you something too. They've got it's like the Burn Boss. It's the smaller air curtain burner for anybody interested. I'll probably send it to Randy. And if RCD is interested, I'll send that as well. It can still be pulled behind a trailer, but you can actually, I believe, make biochar from this one.
I've seen one pull behind that they use in a lot of vineyards. So, but that was a natural gas propane unit. So I'm interested in seeing what you're going to send, because it's being used a lot of places.
Yeah, and Ben sent this out, or Carol Spinos, our former NEPA coordinator. She's working in the biomass arena right now. I'll send that information to you. It was used down on the Cleveland. They're trying it out there. So anybody that's interested, I'll send that information to them.
That's great. I'll pass it along to the permitting folks just to run it by them.
Yeah, we're probably, we may or may not try it. I don't know. But it's just a new tool in the mix.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll look forward to seeing the info.
All right. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, if there are no other questions for Nancy, we can move on to the next project update, which is TCRCD.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I just want to say, so UC Cooperative Extension, we've been skipping them because they haven't had anybody, but I did get a notice that they are currently trying to replace Ricky Satomi, Ryan DeSantis. So they're trying to hire a new forestry advisor who would cover Shasta, Trinity, and Siskiyou counties. So it's UC A&R Anyway, if you know anybody who wants to work for the university as a forestry advisor, they have a position open and hopefully they'll fill it and hopefully that person would start coming to the fire safe council meetings.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. We did put the posting and a link to it in our newsletter, so hopefully that will help attract attention.
Thank you.
They do say they require a master's degree, just for anyone you're talking to.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there are no more comments or questions about Carol's update for the UC Cooperative, then we can transition to TCRCD.
Do you want me to go first, Skylar?
Sure.
So we completed community chipping finally, about 130 households this May and bleeding into June, which we think is the most ever. So that's awesome. Our fuels crews have been working in the Lake Forest plantations. They just finished a unit out there and now are working in the Weaver Basin, a couple of small units up near the big highway bend on 299. So we're excited to be working close to town again, and then we'll have the Watershed Center, as Randy mentioned, out in the Lake Forest area soon as well. I've got some contractors working on a shaded fuel break on Browns Mountain. They are likely to finish up in the next week or so, and that's all cut and pile, so there'll be piles to burn after that. But that's about 140 acres, so excited to be getting that done. And then also have some folks starting a contract on some more of the Lake Forest plantations. They started this week. The Big FEMA grant is now heading into its kind of environmental compliance waiting period. We've been doing some planning, but we're sending everything off to FEMA this week, and then we'll be not working on it so much for the next 6 months to a year while they do NEPA. So that's the status of that. We're hoping to be able to do some additional planning during that period, but that depends on the McConnell Foundation, so waiting for a decision from them. We received funding from PG&E for some private land spills reduction in the South County around Ruth and Mad River. So we started outreach for that. Dave was just on the phone with the Southern Trinity VFD and coordinating some high priority areas for that funding. That's, you know, a shorter term grant, so we'll be doing it likely this summer. And then working with Six Rivers on some hazard tree work and a small third-party NEPA, also down in the South County along county roads, doing hazard tree removal in the August footprint. That's all of my things.
Great, thank you. That's a lot.
Yep.
So I have one thing to add to that for PRCD specifically. We're part of a group called the North Coast Resource Conservation District Collaborative, which is a regional group that basically goes all the way from Marin County up to Siskiyou County, 11 different RCDs. And that group has entered into an agreement with West Coast Watershed, which is on behalf of the North Coast Resource Partnership. And the Trinity County Resource Conservation District is going to be a fiscal sponsor for that agreement. And the intent of the agreement is to provide technical assistance to NCRP for their CAL FIRE pilot block grant, which is several $1 million. And their intent is to have us working on both identifying like potential projects throughout the region, eventually getting to a place where we can put out an RFP for assisting and standing up smaller groups like VFDs, smaller fire safe councils, things of that nature that can then apply for funding to do fuels reduction work within the region. And so, so that grant, we just entered into that agreement and are starting to work with them on how to roll out this project, which includes things like, compiling potential projects throughout the region, entering them into their version of a project tracker. There's an RCD project tracker that's statewide, but it's that we are involved with also. But this would mostly be for them to be able to begin to figure out how they're going to fund potential projects within the region. And as some of us know, the NCRP basically has been doing this with in-stream restoration for quite a long time, but this is their version of it for forest health type projects and for fuels reduction projects. So, so I've been working with Catherine Gledhill and Rosie Roberts over at NCRP or WCW, and basically getting prepared for how the North Coast RCD Collaborative is going to basically support that effort.
Cool.
Yeah, which is potentially, I mean, the one thing that I, just my own personal interpretation of how this probably will roll out is that as fiscal sponsors, we'll have our own stuff to include for Trinity County. But it's really meant to help stand up and spread money around for, lower functioning organizations that really don't have the capacity to be able to write grants and to actually, write contracts and get, work done on the ground. So, Trinity County is fairly high functioning as far as that's concerned between the organizations that we have sitting here today and all the work that's, and money that we've got coming into the county through through CAL FIRE grants, Watershed Center, Trinity County RCD, the Forest Service, and the IRA money and all that, Joint Chiefs, et cetera. So, so I see our role being a little bit more administrative and probably not going to be as much focused on trying to actually bring that money here as much as trying to just sort of help the region get to a place where there's more of that work being done throughout the region. But there is potential for us to have some projects that might be best suited, and I'll talk with you more about this because this is brand new. But it's I think it's going to be kind of a way for us as an organization, our RCD, to sort of assist the region in sort of helping to disseminate more funding throughout Northern California and the North Coast region specifically.
So I think maybe we're kind of a guinea, so maybe Trinity Center Volunteer Fire Department is kind of a guinea pig then, because we have a contract with NRCP right now for technical assistance, where they're helping us do the fuel management plan and a fire response plan, with the idea that once we have these plans, we can go ahead and shop funding, say, okay, the plan says you need to do the follow-up on these projects. And so that would help us then go after the additional funding for implementation. Cool.
Yeah. And so they're there's a couple of different tracks with regard to how NCRP is dealing with that. And part of it is like the RCDs are both in their pool of technical assistance providers for doing, that piece of the work, that piece of the process. And that's being funded mostly by the DOC. And then basically the intent is that those projects, as they're being developed, would then be entered into this program, so that there would then be implementation dollars on the back end of it. So that is
kind of like an incubator kind of program.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
So
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
so that'd be all I have
Okay,
additional for today.
awesome. Are there any questions for Bethany or Kelly on what TCRCD's working on? Seeing.
Happy birthday, Jerry. I think you're going already.
Oh, dang. Okay, so seeing no questions or comments, I know I missed the additions or changes to the agenda section. but if the council will have it, I was thinking that we could fit TCOES right next, because they're not on the agenda.
Still on.
That's where they fit in the alphabet.
Z.
Thought you were on there.
I,
last time.
no, never have been. I think Pat brought it up last meeting and
Oh, yeah, zoo.
then it's kind of walked away. That's fine. Okay, so in the OES world, projects that we're currently working on right now, I'm trying to get out and do a lot of code red education. The Know Your Zone is that came out so fast that there wasn't a lot of education out there. So I'm trying to circle back around. I'm working with public health emergency preparedness, and we have created some refrigerator magnets that are see-through pockets that they originally built for people to have medical information in there. Well, now we're making a card in there that's going to have all their zone information, how to contact us if they have any questions with Code Red, getting things signed up. We'll have those out at the fairgrounds this year, along with the different area flyers that were sent out to residents. I'll be going to the fire departments and trying to get as many of what was sent to the departments that was printed, that was left over, and have those available. And I'd also like to do that even when we do the town halls of the hazard mitigation, have that stuff there too. So we're not just focused on one thing, and be able to, if we get some people there, give them a little opportunity to understand that a little bit too. Working with Bureau of Reclamation right now. We just had a meeting today. We're doing a dam failure, Trinity Dam earthquake damage and failure tabletop exercise in September. I believe the date is going to be, I think it's the second Thursday. I have to go back and look. We're just now trying to schedule the Board of Supervisors chambers for that. So I'll be sending out a save the date for that exercise. Been kind of assessing, we're at the end of, the county's at the end of their fiscal year, so I've been reporting on this last year since I took over, and then finishing up a lot of Ed Presley's projects. We funded and completed somewhere around $500,000 worth of projects for the county, for sheriff's office, search and rescue, fire departments, ambulance service. And we're looking for another busy year this next year. Hopefully start spending again next year. And all your stuff is on the list. Yeah. And I do, matter of fact, we just completed it yesterday for the fire department. So I say we don't have much here, but I will be sending out, it's a fillable PDF, and it's the request form that I've been promising. That got completed yesterday. Actually, I sent it to Todd to check it out too. So that'll be going out to the department. So that way you guys can put your requests in, because I need a lot more notice. So we can, especially with fiscal, and trying to stay within the budgets. I'm starting to understand more about the county budget, and my projects bounce around so much that I overspend in some areas of my budget and underspend in areas. So we're trying to balance that out and build, basically 24-25's budget, and get that prepared. So a lot of stuff in the works. Thanks for putting me on the schedule. I'll write myself in.
Next time you will be on the printed agenda, so no surprises for you. Okay, are there any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Trinity County Collaborative Group.
Larry Glass.
Yeah, we're going out in the field tomorrow, actually, to look at the Forest Service's pretty big scale plan called Big Ranch. We're going to be going from Big Bar to Burnt Ranch on the ridge above Hay Fork and above the 299 corridor there, and taking a look at all the opportunities for fuel reduction and expanding the concept of roadside shaded fuel breaks beyond just a 300-foot strip. That's tomorrow at 9:30. I guess people meet in Weaverville.
Yeah, the Weaverville Ranger District. Right out front.
Okay,
I think that's the main thing the collaborative is working on right now. Pilot project was announced to be actually sold in October, I believe.
cool.
What Jerry Cousins told me.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we will go to safe. So that's you again, Larry.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing that we're working on is cooperating with the collaborative and then pushing the roadside shaded fuel breaks right now.
Okay,
I did want to say, Larry, I really enjoyed reading Jan Mountjoy's memorial write-up that was in the Safe newsletter this past month. That was well done.
Yeah, and we're actually out trying to collect more people's remembrances of Jan, people that worked with her over the years. So if you are aware of anybody who does have some recollections like that, they want to send along to Colleen O'Sullivan. She's trying to put together a whole collection of those.
Thanks, Larry.
okay. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, we'll go to NRCS.
Hello, this is Chris. So the NRCS has mostly been working on finalizing contracts and then just keeping up to date, making sure contracts that are already signed are, being completed with on the appropriate timelines and everything. So that's not really a whole lot new stuff for the NRCS. We're also starting to work, I guess, a little more closely with the RCD and see how we can tie NRCS projects closer with some of the grant funded projects to try to fill in the gaps on some of the work that's not able to get grant funded, because that's a place that seems like there's some holes. So we're working with them, and then so mostly with Bethany on that, and I'll reach out to the Watershed Center too, because I think there's lots of opportunity out there, but you just gotta try to capture it. But it's hard when everything's kind of competitive, including our funding. So that's it for me. Not a whole lot.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Any comments or questions for Chris? Okay, seeing none, we will hop over to the Air Quality Management District.
Good afternoon, folks. Well, what I have to discuss is the Air District has met with some local prescribed burn folks over here in the Humboldt County part of the district, and they brought up some issues regarding our smoke management plan and some improvements and suggestions to make the process easier. The district is committed to updating the notification availability for people who want to burn and get a burn number. So we now have improved messaging on our phone system, and we also have cross-trained. So when I'm out of the office, it's easier to get a burn authorization number. It was brought up that the smoke management plan expiration of every 2 years from the date of issuance. If there could be a method to extend that until there are updates or changes, the district is committed to doing that. There'll be a form that's submitted to people when their plan expires, and then they can just complete the form, and it'll be good for another 2 years until, unless there have been changes made, such as additions of additional acreage, or removal of projects that are completed, up to 2 extensions for a total of 6 years for each smoke management plan. So after that 6-year period, then you'd need to readdress and amend the plan as needed. We've also committed, well, they have raised questions about our permitting and our burn permits and how they're applied. We're looking at that because of the new CAL FIRE permit requirements that aren't currently hitting Trinity County as much as the rest of the state. Right now, Shasta Trinity over in Eastern Trinity is still going along with our permit, but the rest of the state is requiring everybody in state responsibility to get a CAL FIRE permit, standard or non-standard permit. I will keep this group informed as things change. Let's see, the district has been involved with pre-wildfire notification with NOAA. I'm going to be getting meetings together with all 3 counties for pre-wildfire discussion with public health and OES. And I'm working with the county of Humboldt with Zone Haven to put out our wildfire messaging using Zone Haven, and also applying that messaging using the designations that I assume will also be part of our discussions with Trinity and Del Norte in the future. At this point, smoke management plans are still trickling in. There are still prescribed burns happening, but not quite as large as it has been. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Deborah. Any questions or comments for Deborah? Okay, seeing none, and I don't see any other organizations or agencies that are remaining on our list on Zoom or in the, yes, Randy?
Time for a go back if nobody else is here to give an update.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there a time for a go back?
A go back?
Yeah, I forgot to mention something
yeah,
and I feel
please.
like it's an important piece. We let the Fire Safe Council know that we were setting up this computer program called Land Tender, where we could look at wildfire hazard in the different parts of the county, dig into user designed planning areas, evaluate kind of competing interests and areas where multiple values were being represented by reducing hazards from wildfire. And we've been kind of working in the background to get the tool set up with the company Vibrant Planet. And we're looking at the tool being ready to use in early July. So we'll be inviting some of our partners, the Two Forests, the RCD, CAL FIRE are some of the ones that come to mind almost off the bat as training trainers to use the tool and set up the management scenarios and the planning areas. So there is a bit of a technical role because there is a GIS piece to it, but I think it'll be a really exciting way of talking about projects and different treatment methods. And you can see it displayed in a map environment as you set up your planning areas and your treatment alternatives type of thing. And so we'll be scheduling community meetings once we have sort of the technical people trained on the tool, and we'll be working with the Two Forests with some, coordination between some of their wildfire crisis strategy and this landowner, from the ground up community discussion. So just wanted to bring that up, because we're excited that it's coming to fruition. And so, yeah, that's that update piece that I forgot.
Thank you, Randy. Oh, Regina, do you have any updates regarding the Lower Trinity PBA?
Well, I know there's a meeting next Tuesday that they're hosting on the 27th from 2 to 5. And I know that there really hasn't been a lot going on for the most part. They are written into the CWDG, so further down the line, there will be some kind of implementation and some potential burning, once things are prepped and like that. But that's about all I know for the most part. I'm not a director any longer. I'm a member, but I really haven't heard much. So that's about all I have.
Okay, thank you, Regina.
Mhm.
Okay, are there any other comments or updates or anything else anybody would like to add before we adjourn?
I've got one, and this is kind of a rerun. Last year, there was a bill before in the state legislature that was vetoed by the governor to add fuels reduction projects as public works that require the employees to be paid prevailing wage. That was vetoed last year. There's a new bill this year, AB 338, which is by the same Assemblywoman Aguirre from Yolo County. It's passed the assembly. It has some changes in it that I think are things that the governor's office asked for. Primarily, it gives, there's a delay in its implementation date if it's approved. It wouldn't begin until January 2025 for government agencies, and it would begin in January of 2026 for nonprofits. The idea being that gives people who do fuels reduction work time to build in more salary into their budgets in grant applications and that sort of thing. Other caveat is it's only for projects of $100,000 or greater in size, which used to be no big deal in Trinity County because we were doing $10,000 and $20,000 grants, but now it would certainly come into play. But it's just something to be aware of. It's passed the assembly. What I hear from Sacramento is that it doesn't have much resistance in the Senate and still unknown once it hits the governor's desk, but it very well could be part of your budgeting dynamic starting fairly soon. Especially now that you get, everybody gets grants and agreements for multiple years. So there's a recognition that in the short term, it could mean that, things you've already got money for, fewer acres get done than you had promised in your grant applications, if it passes.
Hey, Pat, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So is the goat part wrapped up in this one, or is that a separate bill?
I think that's a separate bill, the goats versus the sheep.
Well, it's actually the goats, the herders being, put into a different employment classification where they have to get paid for overtime and basically putting them all out of business.
Right, I think that's a different bill, and it is, the sheep herders are not included in the bill, only goat herders.
Sheep don't need as much.
So I can try to, I can get a hold of people in Sacramento and find out the latest line. I'll let you know, Larry.
Yeah, let me know. Thank you.
Mike Wilson was on there earlier.
Yeah, no, he's on now. Anyway,
Thank you.
that's
for the
it.
update.
And then I just had a question. So is the Fire Safe Council gonna have a fair booth?
Yes,
Okay,
yep, we will be at the fair.
great. You'll have your hazard mitigation surveys.
Yep,
Yeah, Cool.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna be partnering with the Forest Service also instead of TRRP this year.
Yeah.
To talk a little bit and, well, and represent partnerships just in general, but
In
they,
different ways.
yeah, they mainly wanted to sort of emphasize the IRA funding and some of that stuff and how the forest is bringing a lot of that new money to the county.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Are there any more updates or questions or anything else before we adjourn? Okay, seeing none, we can adjourn the meeting at 2:22 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for attending and staying online.
Thank
You.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
So
Have a good one.
who is